Alrighty, so this is basically a list from best to worst of the Marvel Netflix series. So at the beginning comes Daredevil, and Season 2 as well, because I enjoyed both. The next one is Luke Cage, then after that is Jessica Jones. Now for these shows, they are very small things that make me like one better than the other, okay? They're not these huge gaps of like, I like this one much better than the other. They are very close together, these shows. So now you're probably wondering, okay, well, where's Iron Fist? Well, he's at the end. And he's got a bit of distance. It's kind of a shame. So Iron Fist is the newest Marvel Netflix series, and it's basically about this character called Danny Rand, which has been gone for many years. Anyway, so he ends up coming back to this company which he kind of owned, and they're just like, you're not Danny Rand. Anyway, so all this stuff happens, and then some other things happen, and yeah, that's Iron Fist. It's so much for calling this show Iron Fist. They should have just called it The Meachums, which is basically the family they focus in on this show. And to make it even a bit more worse, they don't even show, well, you know, the Iron Fist that much. It kind of sucks. It's like you kind of go to see it for that, and they really don't show it enough. And instead, you just get kind of martial arts kind of stuff, in which the fight scenes are fine, but when you compare them to Daredevil, yeah, Daredevil's much better. Though I have to say, in the fight scenes, they did add something a little different, in which they kind of made a special like split screen thing, in which like if two characters are fighting, they do a split screen thing and it shows them like taking down two separate enemies, you know. That was kind of cool. And they also did some like kind of bird's eye view shots, which I don't remember in the other Marvel Netflix shows, so that was kind of cool. But that's another thing this show was kind of lacking in, is just originality. Like, other than that fighting scene I said, this show just feels like it's missing something. It's missing some kind of, like, I remember in the other TV shows, there was something distinctive about each one. There was something special. I remember that every show, and it kind of gave it its own kind of original flair. This one, I just didn't get that as much. I just felt like it was kind of lacking in originality. So now that's kind of out of the way, let's talk about some of like the characters and the acting in this. Now, I'm going to start straight up actually with the acting and say it wasn't bad, okay? The acting was actually good. I didn't really have much of an issue with the acting. The character that played as, the actor that played as Danny Rand, I felt he was fine. Like, I know some people kind of bashing on him, saying he was crap, and they're actually mad he's still playing as Iron Fist in the new Defenders, you know, the Marvel the Defenders, in which all the heroes of the Marvel Netflix series come together, which is pretty cool. But some people are kind of don't want him to play as Danny Rand. They want to get another actor. I didn't think it was that bad. I think it was more of the writing to blame. I think it was more that was in fault. But anyway, I thought he did an alright job. But to be honest, he wasn't my favorite character in the show though. Like, as I said, the writing, it just, sometimes he just, yeah, I didn't like him as much as actually this character, which I think her name was Colleen Wing, I think, in the show. Yeah, I just liked her character more. I overall felt she was more of a stronger character in general, not just, you know, in the fight scenes, but just, I just felt like she had a bit more depth. And yeah, and then talking about like the Meachum family and all those actors, yeah, they did fine as well. Like, to be honest, there was no real bad actors in this. You know, I think I've pretty much covered everything in the non-spoiler review. Basically, I'll just kind of sum up a few things. So, the acting was fine. The fight scenes were, you know, even though they weren't Daredevil good, they were still enjoyable to watch. The writing could have been a little bit better. This is by far probably my least favorite, but it is still enjoyable, and I would say it's still an above average show. It is not what Rotten Tomatoes is saying. Freaking 17%, I think they're saying at the moment, which is insane. It is not that bad. 17%, that is insane. Like, how? Oh, wow, this just shows the comparison. So the average rating for, you know, the critics was 17%, and then audience scores 80%. Okay, so now I've basically said it's an above average show. I'm just going to give it its rating. I'm going to give it a 6.5, okay? Like, I know that sounds like kind of low, but you know, it isn't as good as the other Marvel Netflix shows, and they're like 8s and 9s, okay? And I wouldn't even give this show kind of a 7. I feel like that's a bit too steep. Even though I've given it a pretty low rating, I would still recommend to check this out, especially if you're a Marvel fan and you enjoyed the other Marvel Netflix shows. Still go and check this out. It's not bad, okay? It's not terrible or anything like that. It's still got some enjoyable moments in it. So, since it's a 6.5, it's not worthy of a piece of licorice, sadly. Sorry, buddy. It's, yeah, go sit over there. I think that's the end of my non-spoiler review. I think that's it. I've given my rating. I've said it's a alright show. Well, above average show. Yeah. I think it's time to move on to the spoilers. Sound the alarm! The rest of this video contains spoilers, so I would advise watching this part of the video if you haven't seen the movie. Unless you don't mind spoilers, in that case, go right ahead. Can't say I didn't warn you. I was very satisfied with how the other TV shows ended. Like, Daredevil, I can't remember the exact way Season 2 ended. I remember Season 1, it's just kind of like Wilson Fisk was in jail, he becomes a hero again, here's someone's in trouble, but cut to black, or whatever, cuts to credits. That was cool. I think 2 ended with, like, the main bad guy was like, he had, like, immortality kind of thing, and the dude chopped his head off, Stick or whatever his name is, and then he ended up getting revived right at the end. You see him in, like, this, like, tomb thing or whatever, and he's getting revived. I can't exactly remember. I've only seen Season 2 once before. I've seen parts of Season 2 again, but I haven't completely gone through it again. Jessica Jones, I remember, like, Kilgrave, basically, she kills him, and then she just, you know, ends up just being a private investigator again. And then Luke Cage, basically, he basically goes back to prison. Yeah. But all of those, I felt satisfied. It was a good ending. I felt, even though, Luke Cage ended up back in jail, still felt satisfied with what I saw. It wasn't kind of like something was missing. They weren't... See, the problem is with Iron Fist, they kept hinting at this Kunlun. Okay, this special temple place in which he got trained by these monks, right? And they just keep doing it. They just keep... And it's just like, alright, come on, show us a little bit. And yes, they do show us a little bit, but a little bit's like a freaking peek through a keyhole. Okay, I wanted to see a little bit more. And then right on the last episode, you're like, oh yeah, and maybe they'll go to Kunlun and they'll show just a little bit and then they'll cut to black. Nope, it was just a stupid cliffhanger. I just didn't like it. Okay, so that's enough about the bad things in this show. Let's talk about some of the good things. So, I wasn't expecting Ward Meacham, which was, the son of the Meachams and that, to kill Harold Meacham, which was, the dad. I was so not expecting that. Like, wow, that just completely caught me off guard. Another thing I kind of liked with the whole Harold Meacham character was how he had this, like, immortality skill, and they kind of added a bit more lore onto it. Because I don't think in Daredevil they really showed, like, every time he comes back, he gets more and more aggressive and a bit more of, like, a bit more inhuman, I guess you could say. Like, that scene when he killed his assistant, that guy that kept saying, sorry, I'm sorry. God, I can't remember how many times he said that. But anyway, like, oh, damn, he beat him with an ice cream scoop. Like the metal ice cream scoops. Like, oh, hang on, I'll be back. I've actually got one of them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he beat him with this, an ice cream scoop. And just because Harold Meacham wanted to treat his assistant dude with some ice cream. And the assistant guy was just like, no thanks, I'm just happy with vanilla. And I don't think vanilla was there, so... And then, yeah, beats him with an ice cream scoop. In a way, it kind of reminds me of the scene in Daredevil with Wilson Fisk, and how the guy disobeys him for something. And anyway, he just ends up slamming his head into a door. Like, oh god, I don't know what one's worse. Like, a door, I think you get knocked out a bit quick and you wouldn't feel it. But an ice cream scoop? I think that'd be a lot more painful. Alright, so that's enough talking about the villains. One thing I wanted to also mention is the cameos in this show. And I think they did it quite well with the cameos. First off, with the lawyer from Jessica Jones, I thought that was pretty cool to put in. But the one that really impacted me the most was a cameo for Jessica Jones, in which when the brother and sister got kicked out of the company, and they were trying to get their way back into it by doing a blackmail thing, in which what they tried to do is try and get some controversial photos of them, and then kind of, use it as blackmail and say, if you don't put us back into the company, we'll do this, and the person that took the pictures was Jessica Jones, which is really cool. I think there was some other cameos, but they were the ones that really stood out well for me. I think there was probably a few more, but yeah, I can't remember the others, but the one with Jessica Jones that private investigator kind of mentioned, that was really cool. I like that a lot. So yeah, I think that's it for my spoilers discussion as well. Though I have to say before I finish off, I'd just like to say I'm really looking forward to seeing the Marvel Defenders, which is basically all the heroes that they've had in the Marvel TV shows band together, which should be really cool, I think. So yeah, I did see the teaser trailer where they were like in the elevator all beaten up and crap, and then like Jessica Jones comes along and just punches the camera. That was a really cool little bit at the end. Yeah, I think that's it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you folks in the next one.